Hello and welcome to episode 177 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is March 13th, 2023. Today I'm wearing a fairly special shawl and a very special pullover. And the shawl is special because it's a very special design. It's called Manta Ray by, by Scott something. I forgot his name. Sorry about that. And I was allowed to test knit the pattern back then. So it's a very special design. It uses, I think, 7 different colors. And the colors are always mixed. So they sort of fade in and out. And I decided to use 7 different gray colorways by Opal. So gray is the one color that sort of holds the whole thing together, but I use 7 different colorways, and I started with the lightest color and then worked through to the darkest color, and then you have these crazy increases and decreases, and while you're knitting the shawl it really looks very weird, but once you block it and you start seeing the pattern and you get all those nice sort of rounded shapes and those points and all those things, it's really very special and quite different, I think, to most other shawls or scarves that you see. So I really enjoy knitting it and I enjoy wearing it, and so very special. It's linked underneath the video. If you are interested in the pattern, you can click through my Ravelry page to the pattern page and you can get the pattern. So that's the Manta Ray scarf or shawl. I should prepare better. I'm sorry, I don't know. But either of these. And the pullover I'm wearing is special because it's the oldest surviving pullover of mine. So it's not the first one that I knit. There must have been quite a few pullovers before this one, but I don't have any of them anymore. So they got lost or thrown away or given away. I don't remember. But this one I gave to my sister at some point. And when I was working at Wolldackel at the German yarn shop where I started sort of knitting professionally, or when I started selling yarn, she asked me if she should put the pullover away because she didn't want to wear it anymore. And I said, oh no, I'm going to keep it. Now that I'm working with yarn, I need to have all the knitted pullovers that I can get. And I asked her to give it back to me so I could wear it again. So this pullover must be almost 40 years old, I guess. I have no idea what the yarn is. It's really oversized the way we used to knit pullovers back then. It's fairly long. It's probably grown in the time that I've had it. It's a yarn that I was sent from Japan. Back then I couldn't read any Japanese, so I have no idea what's in the yarn. It's probably some sort of mohair. It has a bit of a glittery black thread that's running through. And as I said, no idea what the yarn content is, but it's fairly light. It's a fairly big pullover, but it's not heavy. I'm not quite sure whether I worked from a pattern or whether I sort of just used the lace pattern and made the pullover up myself. The only thing that I know is if I were to knit it today, I would make sure that the pattern lines up at the seam. But it doesn't matter, I think. It's okay. I knit it when I was a teenager. So considering that, I think it's a very nice pullover, and I don't wear it as much anymore because I'm afraid that one day it's going to fall apart. And I like to keep it as a memory of my early knitting days. Yeah, but really happy that I still have it. So back then I had no idea I would ever sort of knit professionally, or I would go into the knitting business or yarn selling business. I had no idea. So otherwise I might have kept more of my old pullovers Yeah, but anyway, that's my oldest pullover. And one of my test knit scarves or shawls. Okay, so much to what I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects. Again, I have 2 finished objects and 2 new cast-ons. So a good balance there. The first, both my finished objects are socks, probably no big surprise. The first pair are the Fairground Socks that I test knit for Deb Milstein. The pattern is released. You can get it and knit your own Shorty socks if you want to. They are fairly simple to knit, but I'm pretty sure my sister's going to enjoy wearing them. They have some short rows on top of the heel flap, which makes them sit nicely, and they have this very pretty but simple lace pattern, so it's not very complicated. You don't have to concentrate a lot, but it makes counting the rows so much easier. And they have a sort of what I call star toe, but it's different from the way that I'm used to knitting it. So that was something new, and now I can come back to that one if I want to. For example, if I knit too far, I haven't paid attention, and I don't have enough space to do my normal toe, I could do this one, like with the film reel socks. Sometimes I don't really have enough space to do my usual toe. I could, instead of fudging the numbers, I could just do this toe. I might do that the next time I do the film reel socks. Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, Fairground Socks by Deb Milstein. Test knit. I'm finished, and I'm looking forward to giving them to my sister so she can wear them. And the other pair of socks are, of course, the Sock Madness socks. I finished my Valgus Socks by J. Rush, by Jennifer Rushinsky. I think I finished them last week, Monday night. So I finished the socks, I sewed them together, I took the pictures, and I sent my email, and they were accepted, and I am now in round 2. Round 2 hasn't started yet, but I can take part in round 2, something like that. Technically, the first round would run until Saturday, because that's when the 2 weeks are up. But when I checked this morning, there were only 10 spots to be filled in all the teams. So I'm pretty sure the round will finish early. So probably by next week, I will have started the second round of Sock Madness, and depending on when the round starts and what the pattern is, maybe I will have finished them. But we'll see about that next week. But I finished the round 1, and I'm on to round 2. Yeah, so that's, oh, by the way, these are opal subscription, was a subscription color, and I thought it hadn't been repeated in one of the series, but somebody wrote in the comments in the German video that it actually came out as a color in a series, but probably some time ago, so probably not available anymore, but I just wanted to mention that. Okay, then works in progress. I have continued knitting on my knee-high sock, so I think I haven't shown that in a while. I started knitting the first sock a long time ago, so the first knee-high sock is finished, and this is the second one, and I'm using different patterns from the book Statement Knitting. It's linked underneath, so there are 2 books, and I think I've linked them both because so most of them are from the second book, but I used the letters for my name from the first book, so I linked them both underneath. And after I put my name into the sock, I've now added the ice cream cones. And when I decided to knit those, I wanted to sometimes knit the whole like ice cream bowl, and I forgot to do that. So now I'm thinking about duplicate stitching some of them, just for fun, but we'll see about that, but that's the plan. Have I decided what to do next? I think I made a plan, but I hope I can remember it. Anyway, so yeah, this is the second of my knee-high socks. I'm using the solid color as the main color, and I'm using several leftover colorful yarns to do as a contrast color. And I still enjoy the knitting, but I really want to get them done at some point. I've been knitting on them for quite a while. Yeah, so that's a sock that you know. I have another pair of socks on the needle, and that's the first new cast on. And it's also a Sock Madness pattern. It's the bonus pattern, I think, of the first round. So when I finished my pair for the first round and they were accepted, I got the bonus pattern, and it's called Meandersocks by Linde. And I'm using this color out of the Country series by Opal. I'm not sure whether I've shown you all the other colors in this series yet. I'll have to check. But this is a series that's, I think that was the last series that came out. So it's a new series of colors by Opal. It's called Country, and my sister really liked this light gray colorway, so I decided to knit the socks for her, and they are knit toe up and have a very nice lace pattern. The interesting thing about this lace pattern is it's not symmetrical, so it's not the same thing happening here and there, and so yeah, you have to follow the chart all the time and be careful to really pay attention where you are. So you can see that this, like this diamond shape, is not exactly on top of that one, but it's slightly to this side. And the second sock will be knit, or can be knit, with the other chart, and I think then the pattern will be mirrored, like these things will probably turn the other way around, stuff like that. I have started the increases for the heel, and I really hope they're going to fit, because my sister wasn't there, so I couldn't measure her foot, and I tried them on myself and I had to sort of guess her size, but I'm pretty confident it should work. So these are the only two socks I'm knitting at the moment. Then the next project I'm going to show you are the mittens that I'm knitting for the pattern battle, where everybody uses this colorway, but everybody has to knit a different pattern. And I'm knitting the Pay It Forward mittens by Locatelli, but I'm knitting them fingerless and with an open thumb. That's not in the pattern. This is the first one, and I continued knitting on the second one. So not quite sure how much I had knit the last time I showed them to you, but I have finished the bit before the thumb increases, and I've started doing the thumb increases here. And so the back of the hand, the pattern continues, and on the palm of the hand is just stockinette stitch and the thumb increases. And I really want to get this finished as quickly as possible. I know I said that about half the project, but it doesn't matter. The thing is that this is another of those Opal Abo colors, Opal subscription yarns, and the next parcel should be arriving this month, which means another pattern battle will then start. So I am trying to finish those before the next parcel arrives. Yeah, so that's that. And then I have a new small project. So maybe you remember that some time ago I knit a black hat out of Alpaca yarn. That's it's called Alpaca Mia, and it's by the company Hansa Farm, but back then they were still called Fair Alpaca, and this was sort of the alpaca yarn that was not quite as soft as the main yarn that they were selling. And back then I bought enough black yarn to knit either a pullover or a jacket, but now I've decided I don't want a pullover or jacket out of this yarn, and I decided to knit hats. And the first hat that I knit went to my sister. So I wanted to knit another one, but didn't want to make the same thing. I get bored easily. So when one of my customers mentioned she was knitting a hat out of the brushed alpaca, I thought, I decided to knit a hat out of both of those yarns. So this is a pure alpaca and this is also pure alpaca, but it's a brushed alpaca, and I'm holding them double, and I've started knitting just a simple hat. As it's black, I don't want to add a lot of pattern into it, and so I decided to just do a really long 2x2 rib, and then probably do the rest of the hat in stockinette. Very simple, just another nice soft black hat. And yeah, we'll see how that works out. So with the last hat, I think what I did is I did the first ball of yarn in ribbing, and then with the second one I started knitting stockinette, and then at some point did the decreases. Now that I'm holding the yarn doubled and I'm knitting with bigger needles, I probably won't do the whole ball of yarn in rib, but I don't know yet. So I'm not following a pattern, I'm just improvising a black hat. So then what have we got? I did not continue knitting on the dinosaur skeleton loop. I really wanted to, but every time I picked it up, I didn't have the book with me and I couldn't find the picture that I took of the chart, so I couldn't continue, but I will knit on that this week. But I continued knitting on my Noro cardigan. So this is the Noro Silk Garden Solo yarn that I'm using, and I finished the sleeves to the underarm, and I've continued knitting on the front and back, and I think I have made quite a bit of progress. And yeah, it's just the same thing again and again, but it takes quite some time to do the long rows because it's both the fronts and the back, but I really enjoy seeing this grow. At some point I will have to sit down and calculate how much yarn I think I'm going to need for the yoke, so that I know how much yarn I can knit for the front and back. But I'm really looking forward to finishing, or to keep working on this. It'll take a bit of time to finish it. And I'm not in a rush for this. Cardigans are something that I sort of wear year round, so it doesn't really matter when I finish this. And the pullover that I'm knitting, that's the, colorwork pullover. Last time I showed you how I finished the yoke. I changed the pattern to add a ribbed, to add some ribbing and I added some short rows that are not in the pattern. Last time I had sewn on one of the sleeves. I've now sewn on the second sleeve, so this now it just looks like a proper top-down pullover. You can't tell that I knit the sleeves bottom up and that I knit the color work yoke bottom up, and now I'm knitting the fronts and back top down. I just picked up all the stitches from the sleeves, from the front and back, from the provisional cast on that I did, and now it's just simple stockinette. It's not quite as oversized as I had thought when I started the yoke, but it's absolutely big enough. I could probably add some shaping if I wanted, but right now I think I don't want it, so I'll just knit, keep knitting, and then I'll try it on every so many centimeters, and then I can spontaneously decide whether I just want it to go straight or whether I want to add some shaping, waist shaping or something like that. We'll see. Okay, now that were the clothes, then on to the two shawls that I'm knitting, and I'm knitting two Stephen West shawls. The first one is the Pierre Shawl. I think this is one of the older designs by Stephen West, and I chose to knit it out of hand-dyed DK weight yarn by Wolldackel, and this is my first color, and the second color I don't have here, but it's that dark blue color which has speckles in white, pink and this light blue color, so that I think the two colors work together really nicely. Last time I'd already finished this part with these stripes, and I was knitting on the seat stitch section. I finished that. Then there's another eyelet row, and then there's another bit of ribbing. It's the same pattern as here. And once I finish that, I'm going to repeat those triangles, and then I'm going to repeat those two patterns. Yeah, so it's sort of more of the same, but I still enjoy knitting this a lot. This is what I still have left from the first skein of yarn, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to need a second one. I'm not quite sure about the blue, but we'll see about that later. So this is like a half circle shawl, but I think it's a bit more than half a circle, so the ends sort of sweep up, which means they will fold forward nicely when I wear the shawl, and I think it's going to be a really nice one. Yeah, so that's the DK weight shawl, and the fingering weight shawl I'm knitting is the Fragmentation Shawl, which I think is one of the newest patterns by Stephen West. And I finished the first segment. I'm not quite sure whether I had done that last week. I don't think so. So I finished the first segment of the shawl, and I cast off with the I-cord stitches that I had on the edge. So you just sort of keep knitting them, and you decrease. You cast off the stitches that you have for that segment, then the I-cord stitches are put on hold, and then you start the second segment. And I think last week I told you that I wanted to start the second segment with the dark grey color down here, so that the colors would sort of get staggered, and that didn't work out at all. Well, it worked out for the first bit, but when I got higher up to where the stripes are smaller, they sort of almost lined up. And I didn't like that. I didn't want them to almost line up. It looked as if I had tried to line them up and not managed it, but I wanted them to be not lined up. So I undid it again and started at a different spot. And if you want to have a look at what it looked like before, I put pictures on my Ravelry page, so you can check it out there. So instead of starting with the grey, I decided to start with the red, which sort of means that the white with the blue speckles is sort of lining up. That again did not work out exactly, but I think it's close enough. And now that the main colors are really offset, I'm really happy. That's basically what I wanted. I wanted those main color bits to sort of go in steps like that. And yeah, so I'm not doing the small steps with the accent colors, because this looks really big down here, but already here it's a lot smaller. And then if you look up here, they are really very slim. So just offsetting the color repeat by 2 or 3 rows, it just didn't make sense. So I'm doing it like this now, and I'm really happy. And yeah, now I have to finish that segment as quickly as possible so I can start the next one. And because I have 3 main colors, it means that number 1, 2, and 3 will be different, and then number 4 will be the same as the first one. And then 5, 6, and 7, the last one, is going to be also the same as the first one, which means when I wear the shawl, no, it's going to be this way. This is up and this is down. So it means the first and the last segment, the ones that are going to show on the front, will be the same. And I think that's a good idea. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Yeah, so that are the 2 shawls that I'm knitting on, and then my 2 crochet projects. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything, but I'm pretty sure that's everything. And I'm crocheting the Elements of Life crochet along the first pattern that was released, and that's the element Earth. And I almost finished the first clue. So she split every element into 2 clues. So I think we have all of earth, all of the next one, and half of the next one. I know I'm really slow, but it's okay. It's not a mystery crochet along anyway, so I knew what the patterns were going to look like. I am using this as the main color and this as the accent color, and this is what my motif looks like at the moment. I need to do 2 more rounds, then the first clue is finished and I can go on to the next one, but those rounds do take a bit of time. Especially the either, I think it's single crochet in the American and double crochet in the British crochet language. They are really small, and the bigger ones you always crochet into the round below, so they aren't really that much bigger, and it sort of grows slowly. From the back you can see that I am actually crocheting 1 color at a time, and I'm always changing between both colors, but because I am doing the bigger stitches into the round below, you get this beautiful pattern. I think the color gradient is, it's not very visible, but you can see that it's sort of the blue changes, and this is a bit more green, and then this is a bit darker, which has a bit of like brown in it, and then it's back to the blue. Yeah, really enjoying this, even though it's slow going. I enjoy it. And the other crochet project is also fairly slow going at the moment. It was a lot quicker in the beginning, but that's of course my Alpaca granny square, and I managed to add 4 rounds, which at this size is quite something, I think. So this is what it looks like at the moment. Last week I had done the green round. I've added the blue, which is deep ocean, another black round, and then the sort of dark orange and the dark red. And the next round again will be black. And I had thought of just doing the different grays and the black from there on. I'm not quite sure if I really stick with that plan. I might change it to doing 2 or 3 colors in the gray and black, and then 1 colorful round every now and then. So I'm sort of slowly doing more gray and less color, something like that. Not quite sure yet. It's growing slowly, but it is growing, but it's still not big enough. I want a really big triangular shawl that I sort of can wrap around me, and so I do want to add quite a bit more. I don't quite remember when I hit the 50 grams and the 100 gram mark. I wrote down that 100 gram mark. I probably have to rewatch my own video to find out when I hit the 50 gram mark and write it down. I hit the 150 gram mark on this dark orange round. So it was, when I finished the black round, I weighed it and it was like 48 grams, and each round has more than 3 grams now. So somewhere in that round, this whole thing weighed 150 grams, which isn't a lot. It still makes it nice and light and so soft. Yeah, so that's everything that I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!